When someone asks me where I'm from, and I say Kenya, they look at me. They blink a couple of times and are like, oh, that's nice. So with time, I decided to change my approach of answering this common question, and would then reply by saying, guess where I'm from? And honestly, I found so much pleasure listening to what people had to say. Some of them said I'm Egyptian, Omani, Somali, Sudanese, Indian, Emirati, and even Trinidadian. But the truth is that I am mixed race. My father descends from Pakistan in a small town called Rawalpindi, and my mother comes from the Bukusu and Kikuyu tribes in Kenya. And together, they form the cute little baby. Growing up, when hardly anyone looks like you, you tend to stand out. When the most concrete part of your identity is not having one, you tend to feel lost. You tend to carry this baggage of social pressure, even before the term social pressure is instilled in your vocabulary. I kind of forgot my line right now, but growing up, sorry guys, I was deemed as an accident when growing up. And this whole idea of not being like everyone else popped up. I was called the Chotara. This was a derogatory term that defined us multiracial people. I sighed whenever I heard this word. It rang a bell in my ears, a constant torment stating I wasn't enough. I was simply an outlier. And even in my country's census, I was an insignificant statistic. But I was brought to evade the reality of my identity. Filled with fear, my father did not want my sister and I to fall into the same baggage as these Chotaras. Therefore, I was told I was a Punjabi. And whenever I joined a new school and someone would ask me the common question, oh, what are you? I'd quickly jump again and be like, yo, man's a Punjabi. But little did I know, by slowly asserting this facade onto me, the deeper my insecurity sank. And of course, I knew I was biracial. My thick curly hair, my fat nose, my fast-growing mustache, my hairy hands. It was as if I had both sides, black and brown. It felt as though I was thrown into this Venn diagram, but forced myself to bounce onto one side despite not fully succumbing to that norm. And because of what? So that I could fit in? In Trevor Noah's Born a Crime, he states that racism exists. People are getting hurt, and just because it's not happening to you, that doesn't mean it's not happening. Their venomous words pierced through my veins, and their judgmental stares bared into my bones. As an 11-year-old walking into weddings with great congregations, I could feel eyes on me, hitting me constantly. I would see my young mates play on the side, and once they would spot me, they'd stop, exchange a few glimpses back and forth, and then continue playing. And with the younger ones, it is even more apparent that my presence was odd to them. And it is clear, this concept of oddness has already been embedded to these young children, and thus growing with such a mentality makes it so difficult for you to perceive people who are unlike you to be the same. I think I always loved dance. Dancing has been my hobby for a long time. When I was 8 or 9, my sister and I loved Sean Paul. I would play temperature and get busy during the weekends and would jump to it. But then came the time when I decided to perform for the first time in my primary school. My primary school was owned by Indians. This meant that the majority of the student population were of Indian descent. I was allowed to perform, although I was meant to create a dance piece based off a Bollywood song, and I did. Das Bane Karke Lege Do was the song from the movie Das. And as you can see, the top left, that was me feeling the music back in the day, the baggy jeans, the glasses. That was a thing back in 2007, let me tell you. And I didn't think it was an issue abiding by this discriminatory set of laws that were imposed on me. In fact, I thought, wow, this would be a great opportunity for me to fit into my brown side as they will now see me as their own. But no. I look back now. I question the role of the administration. What happened to those students who were put down just because their music genre did not promote what the school wanted? And as a 10-year-old, already coming out to perform was already a daunting and daring task, let alone being put down just because you're not promoting what the school wants. I believe that is absurd. And it was this fixed mindset that has been permeating through our lives, making it difficult for people. Those same students who went off stage and weren't allowed to might have never gone up stage again. And that is a problem. It was instilled to me by my society that mixed-race kids are a form of rejects. And with this insecurity, I needed someone to act as a pillar in my life, to pull me out of this world in which I was drowning in. And that someone were my parents. They did not succumb to the norm of marrying within their cultures. In fact, despite getting a lot of detestation and disgrace from both communities, their love proved to be stronger than that. Although this constant pursuit to evade societal norms did catch up to them, with frequent arguments occurring, my desire need to find this sense of security grew. I yearned for this just because I didn't see it at home. It was even more clear when my parents ended up separating, and this was a painful moment for me. This is when I realized that, wow, the differences within these two cultures quickly rose up. I would hear both sides shame each of my parents, and that was when I knew this is a problem. At times, it felt as though I needed to pick sides. There was this one time I was in school, and my teacher walked in, and she called me out. She's like, oh, you have to go home. And at that point, at the age of 7, the best thing ever is to leave school half day, right? So this was the image my friends thought I was going to have. Dashing out of class, running away, but I thought to myself, wait, what now? I packed my bag, and I got out of the classroom. I saw my sister over there wearing her backpack. We then go into a car and are driven off. The next thing is that we appear in a police station. I'm completely perplexed. I see my mom, my grandma, and a few other relatives. They then ask us to write a report or a statement about my parents arguing. My sister's curiosity quickly popped up, and she questioned, where's my dad? They had him behind bars. I didn't know how to react at that point. And I say it is with this attitude that inhibits interracial relationship to work. Even the few that constantly surpass the storm constantly face pressure to keep up. And once they don't work, the common saying of, I told you so, quickly pops up. And the few of them who accidentally indulge in this, because of the fear of getting judged and ostracized, they flee, leaving the young one alone, hopeless. I was in a car one time, we were heading somewhere. And there was traffic, obviously, and I look outside, as everyone looks outside when you're driving a car, right? And I see this young man. He has a big afro. He has nice eyes, obviously, a big nose, fat nose like mine, skin tone similar to mine. He was very good looking, obviously. But then I look again on what he's wearing. A dirty t-shirt, dirty jeans, and sandals. He's pushing this cart. He looks tired, beat up by life, exhausted. A few minutes later, I found out that he's a chotara. His parents fled. His dad went to the US, and his mother passed on. And at that moment, it occurred to me that, wow, I wouldn't be here today, and it wouldn't matter at all. God knows where I'd be. And linking this idea to the university we have right now, it is so heartwarming seeing the vast number of relationships we have here, interracial relationships. This means as a generation, we're slowly surpassing this primitive notion and more accepting of other people. And passing on this belief is what's crucial in promoting biracialism. Who cares who I want to be with? Maybe I want to marry a Colombian, a Bosnian, a Korean, a Namibian. Who cares? This stigma associated with mixed race individuals should end. It has been a long time that we've struggled figuring out our identity, trying to place ourselves into one circle of the Venn diagram. But no, it is time to create our own circle, to make our own circle and turn to be a significant statistic to the world. Because at the end of the day, red blood still permits to our veins. Nelson Mandela once said, "No one is born hating another person with a different skin tone, a different background, or a different religion. People learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, then they can be taught to love. For love comes more natural to the human heart than its opposite." Thank you.